Hello, brother. How's going?
I'm good, man. How about you?
I'm
How's it
pretty
going?
good. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's pretty good. It's privilege to have you in this podcast.
The privilege is
And
mine.
yeah, yeah, like he's an expert in physical education, in physiology, and the cold exposure, which we take before and after exercise. So could you explain a little bit about yourself? Like what are you doing?
Well, first, I have to admit that I'm not really an expert yet. I only
Uh-huh.
have a master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
I am into those kinds of things like physiology,
Mm-hmm.
physical education, movement sciences, or kinesiology, as you call it in
Mm-hmm.
America.
Yeah.
I've been in this field for a long time now and
Mm-hmm.
interested into it, but I don't consider myself an expert. But I am getting there for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So my name is Amin.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, that's important to know.
Mm-hmm.
I will be starting my PhD about actually not cold exposure. It will be more focused on heat exposure.
Yeah.
So it will be about the effects of
Mm-hmm.
heat exposure in
Mm-hmm.
combination with exercise to prevent cardiometabolic diseases,
Mm-hmm.
like to prevent illness in general.
Mm-hmm.
And what is cardio? What are cardiometabolic diseases?
Mm-hmm.
These are pathologies or diseases which affect how your circulatory system, so how
Mm-hmm.
your heart pumps blood into your body through the veins and arteries and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So the effects of heat exposure on this
Various
function,
kind, yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah.
also metabolism, so how your body processes chemicals of your body, like for
Mm-hmm.
example glucose. So
Yeah.
this I will also do research about the effects of heat exposure on those diseases that affect metabolism.
So it's more about heat exposure, right?
Yeah, heat exposure, but heat and cold,
Mm-hmm.
they're linked together. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you heat your body, you have to cool down. That's
Mm-hmm.
why people usually do cold exposure after heat exposure.
Yeah.
So there, because your body needs to stay in balance. Like there's a word
Mm-hmm.
into the scientific literature. The
Mm-hmm.
word is homeostasis. It means
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's the function of your body to remain in balance. Like
Mm-hmm.
remain at some point, at the point where your body can function properly in the best possible um, conditions.
Mm-hmm. How do you spell the homeostasis?
So homeostasis, H O
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
M E O, and then Stasis.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know. So how would you like define the overall physical education like? So what kind of physical education people should have who are doing exercise regularly in their lives? What should they like
Yeah.
concerned about?
So we should maybe use a better word, like more physical activity,
Mm-hmm.
because physical education, it's the education
About
of
physical activity.
uh, yeah of physical activity,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
for example the education of certain kinds of sports or
Mm-hmm.
just physical activity in general.
Mm-hmm.
But and so what kind of physical activity should you do? Well, it depends on your objectives, on your goals.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there is a specific goal that you have in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If people want to just stay healthy, like without diseases, like
Yeah.
without the aging effects people are having with eating a lot of sugar nowadays, like
Mhm.
the effects of kidneys, like the sugar have on the organs, like main organs, like people are having heart attacks, like most of the Americans have heart problems nowadays. Like what
Mhm.
should they like change in their diet and what exercise should they start with?
So the best program, let's call it
Yeah.
this, would be to a combination, in my opinion, a combination of strength
Hmm.
training,
Hmm.
cardio, like
Hmm.
endurance training,
Hmm.
and some kind of physical activity that combines strength training and cardio, like
Mhm.
cross training, for example, CrossFit, or a very intense
Mhm.
uh, program, very intense workout with
Mhm.
some strength training, like with not very big loads, not very
Mhm.
high
Mhm.
resistance, but
Mhm.
like in between, and then it should be very intense.
Mhm. Like people who are obese, like who have a they are overweight, they have a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So like people advise them that they should start by cardio, do a lot of cardio, like more than your strength training. What would you think about that?
Yeah. From my knowledge, the best way to lose weight,
Mhm.
because first of all, those people, obese people, they have to lose weight. It's a
Mhm.
very big thing to do before for becoming better,
Mhm.
for preventing illness and so on.
Mhm.
So the best way is to combine strength training
Mhm.
and cardio. For
Cardio.
example, a typical program that I also like yeah,
Suggest to people.
suggest to people. Thank you. That
Yeah.
I suggest to people, to my clients, to my customers.
Yeah.
Because right now, at the
Yeah.
moment, I'm working as a personal coach, fitness instructor.
Yeah.
Um, and the thing that I suggest to people is to start with a warm up, of course, and then
Mhm.
some strength training for about 50 minutes, and
Mhm.
then they should end with some cardio, like 20
Mhm.
minutes, 30 minutes of cardio,
Yeah. Yeah.
if they only come once a week. But
Mhm.
people who have more time to exercise, they should do one
Mhm.
day of strength training, another
Mhm.
of cardio, and so on.
Mhm. Like what are the benefits in terms of mental clarity or like intellectual benefits you receive with exercise?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it has been shown that physical activity releases a certain hormone in the brain or in the
Mm-hmm.
body, which is BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor. And this hormone
Mm-hmm.
has been shown to stimulate the growth of brain cells, neurons, and so on, and to
Mm-hmm.
strengthen the connection between the
Mm-hmm.
neurons. This is one, I'd say, underlying mechanisms
Mm-hmm.
behind the improvement of exercise, the improvement um, of mental clarity due to exercise.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it just makes sense that exercise would be good for your brain and for your body.
There is one experiment has been done that like after moderate exercise, people can focus better and they can memorize the things better. Like if they have an exam or something else, so they can perform
Mhm.
better. Yeah, in terms of mental
Yeah,
clarity.
that's true. That's true. Like
Yeah, yeah.
they usually use some kind of like memory game. Like
Mm-hmm.
for example, yeah, they have to memorize a few words or a
Mm-hmm.
few numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And after exercise, it has been shown that the performance on this
Mm-hmm.
test are better. There are plenty of other
Like what are the other factors you should consider like in terms of exercise, like cold exposure? Diet is for sure is a important
diets is
factor.
super important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's for sure. Like people are doing fasting as well because of reducing their weight. So
Mhm.
what would you suggest in terms of diet and other impacts like cold exposures, heat exposures like sauna? what
So
what do you think? Yeah.
I will start with diet.
Yeah.
So a healthy diet would be one that contains, for example, for sure a lot of proteins.
Hmm.
Or proteins, no. But what I'm telling you, everyone knows that.
Hmm.
Everyone knows what a bad diet is. No
Yeah.
sugary stuff,
Hmm.
no combinations of fat and sugar, and so on, like a hamburger or something
Hmm.
similar. But one thing that people should do, in my opinion, is also not eat too often.
Yeah.
Let your body rest and metabolize the nutrients that you
Hmm.
that you take in
Yeah,
is
that's right.
when you're always eating
Yeah.
and eating and eating. Um, your body doesn't have time to digest. To Of course, it will digest, it will, and so on, but
Yeah.
not in a very efficient way,
Hmm.
because you stimulate the hormone. When you eat, you stimulate the hormone insulin,
Hmm.
and this hormone will make sure that every sugar, every carbohydrate or whatever you
Hmm.
take in will be um, stocked
Hmm.
in your fat cells or in your muscles and so on. So your body will then be in a state of like stocking, like,
Hmm.
and not in building things or
Hmm.
like processing things in your body. You see what I mean?
Hmm. Like you said before, the combination of fat and sugar, it's really bad for us. How,
Yeah,
like, how could you explain, like, what are the main impacts on our body?
because your insulin will spike really drastically, like,
Hmm.
and you want to make sure that your insulin
Hmm.
increases slowly throughout the day.
Hmm.
So yeah, I just told you, but I will explain it more clearly. So insulin is a hormone.
Hmm.
Hormone will stimulate, um, well, actually lower your blood glucose,
Hmm.
because no, you don't want to have too much glucose in your blood, because
Hmm.
it can create inflammation and so on.
Hmm.
And if your insulin is high throughout the day,
Hmm.
it can cause inflammation,
Hmm.
especially on the level of your fat cells.
Hmm.
Mhm. And this will cause lots of problems, and then eventually it can cause diabetes. So if
And heart
you,
attack, yeah.
and what was your question again? Can you repeat?
Like, what are the impacts of like the combination of food, like which
Oh yeah.
people are taking, like
Mhm.
fat and sugary
Yeah.
products together? Like
Well,
most of the products are with saturated fat.
yeah, this will make sure that your insulin remains high for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
long time, and super high, more
Mhm.
than what your body needs.
Mhm. So, what would you think about the supplements people are taking? They are like really depends on the supplements. They rely on the supplements. So, without supplement, there is no exercise in their
Yeah.
mind. Like, what would you think about that?
First of all, I would never recommend supplements at first, like for a
Mhm.
beginner, someone who just started like taking care of himself, taking wellness and health seriously. I will never
Mhm.
recommend supplements, because first of all, they have to make sure that they can
Mhm.
exercise regularly, have a proper diet, and
Mhm.
sleep enough. Sleep is also very important for
Yeah,
overall
yeah,
health and so on.
yeah,
Super
yeah,
underrated.
yeah, yeah.
Then, no, it has been shown that a lot of supplements, for example, creatine,
Mhm.
has been shown to have very positive effects on your body and on your
Mhm.
uh, performances, like physical activity performance.
Mhm.
But I will not recommend it, because first of all, you need a good diet. How do
Mhm.
you make sure that your creatine is high?
Mhm.
By eating the proper food, the appropriate
Mhm.
food. For example, meat. Meat has
Mhm.
a lot of creatine, but then we turn into the issue.
Mhm.
What about vegans? What about vegetarians?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What do they do?
I'm also vegetarian.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe in this case, you should, or you may take creatine. You may use
Mhm.
creatine,
Mhm.
because
In terms of short term, like if we think in terms of short term, there are a lot of benefits of supplements. Like if we take protein, pre-workout, and time. But what are the long term like impact on our body? Like if we are taking supplements for like 10 years, 5 or 10 years regularly without any break.
Mhm.
So what are the things going to happen in our body, like in our whole system? How our whole system going to respond to this kind of unnatural things which are not included in our food?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't really know the answer
Hmm.
for creatine,
Hmm.
but if I would have to make a guess or like try to use
Hmm.
my intuition,
Hmm.
uh, so we know that people who use steroids like testosterone
Hmm.
that is not natural, their
Hmm.
body will adapt by reducing the amount of testosterone that the body produces itself.
Hmm.
Like we
Yeah.
call it the endogenous testosterone.
Hmm.
This one will decrease.
Hmm.
So this happens to bodybuilders and so on
Hmm.
because the body has access to so much testosterone that comes out
Hmm.
of their body, like exogenous testosterone. The body will react by lowering the amount of
Hmm.
testosterone that they produce, that it
Hmm.
produces. So
Hmm.
maybe the same happens with creatine, but I don't know because creatine is not a hormone. Testosterone is a hormone. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like melatonin, by taking more melatonin, like the body stopped using the like
yeah,
using, yeah,
this could happen
producing
too.
their own melatonin. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said before, like sleep is very important. Like how many hours should they sleep? Like all the humanity, but recommended hours are around 7 and 8. Like the people who are doing exercise, they are exhausted. They're also working a job, maybe a physical job.
Yeah.
So what would you think, like in terms of rest? How should they rest? The rest period at night as sleep?
So the amount of sleep you should have, like good quality sleep, because there's a difference.
Yeah,
Your sleep has to be of good quality, which means that you should know there are different phases in your sleep. I don't
yeah,
recall them all, but you have deep sleep and so on.
yeah.
These important phases of your sleep should be long enough because in
Mm-hmm,
some people they are very short, and this is bad. So you got to make
mm-hmm,
sure that your whole sleep schedule is long enough, and
mm-hmm,
then the quality of your sleep is good.
mm-hmm,
And so your sleep should be around 8 hours, I would say.
mm-hmm. 8 hours is good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that you have to stay 8 hours in your bed.
yeah.
From 8 hours in your bed, you only sleep for real for about maybe, I don't know, but 7 hours.
Mm-hmm,
So you should at least stay 9 hours in your bed,
mm-hmm.
at
Yeah,
least, to be
yeah,
able
yeah.
to have a good sleep.
So there are more new studies are coming on sleep, that sleep is very important factor, like in terms of our physical wellness. Like even if we are doing the physical exercise daily, if we are not sleeping enough, that's not going to happen, which are we are looking for.
Yeah, if you
Yeah,
train too much and you don't sleep enough, you can
yeah, yeah,
you can come in the risk of becoming overtrained or like
yeah, yeah.
which is super bad. It has a lot of negative impacts on your brain functions, on your
Hmm.
body composition, and so on. So sleep is super important.
Hmm. And what's the best time to do exercise? Like in the morning, evening, or
Mhm.
whenever people are free, they can spend time. Is there any particular thing happening to our body during to our circadian rhythm, which is very beneficial to the exercise?
Mhm. So I've heard that um, from a professor at the University of Brussels
Hmm.
that you should start your day with exercise. You should go exercise um, before your work start. For example, like around 7 to 8 a.m.
Hmm.
Because it turns out that during the rest of the day you feel more energetic. You have more like energy, and your brain
Hmm.
functions are better
Hmm.
on. And
Okay.
I also read that training before going to sleep can disrupt your sleep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because of like increasing of our heart rate, right?
Yeah, a heart rate, adrenaline,
Yeah,
whatever. Like your body is in a sympathetic mode.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Our
And
core body temperature is decreasing
yeah,
because of sleep, so it can go up.
And if your body temperature, your core temperature is too high
Mhm.
before you go to bed, this is also bad.
That's bad. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it can disrupt our regular periods of sleep, like REM sleep, non-REM sleep.
yeah. These are the phases I was talking about: REM sleep,
Yeah,
non-REM
yeah,
sleep,
yeah,
and so on.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So what are the? Let me think about some questions for
No
you.
problem, man. Go ahead.
Um. So what are the impact of heat? Like if I'm taking sauna after
Mhm.
exercise, what it does to our body, the sauna.
So
Like
this is
what is happening
interesting.
in our body, and like what's happening in our, what chemicals are releasing in our body.
So during heat exposure,
Hmm.
a lot of adrenaline and noradrenaline is released to be
Hmm.
able to increase your heart rate, to increase the amount of sweat that you're
Hmm.
releasing.
Hmm.
So to improve sweating, because your body has to cool off, and it uses sweating to do this.
Hmm.
Um, and so after your heat exposure, yeah,
Don't worry, bro. Start again. Start again.
no, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But what is your question actually? So because right now
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm explaining the mechanism during the sauna, but
Speak whatever you want, but don't ask the question again. Okay. Just be in flow,
yeah,
but you can
okay,
explain well. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
you're right. I should be in the
Okay.
flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I will
okay,
ask the question again for
okay.
you. So, what are the impact on our body? What are the impacts on our body that like heat have after exercise? After I'm doing a regular exercise and I'm having a
Okay.
sauna after, so
Mhm.
it relaxes me. What are the chemicals releasing in our body that makes us feel good?
So we don't know a lot about the
Mhm.
combination of exercise and sauna.
Mhm.
This is why I'm
Mhm.
going to research this.
Yeah, yeah.
There is a group in
Mhm.
Finland that conducted such study,
Mhm.
and they found that the the amount of lipids in your body, triglycerides is another word for lipids,
Mhm.
decreases after so the combination of exercise and heat. And this
Mhm.
is good because you want your lipid levels to be low
Mhm.
for health reasons,
Mhm.
healthy reasons.
Like some people feel really, really tired after doing morning exercise because there is a whole day you have to spend in working and all kind of things. But they really feel tired. Like some people feel really good, they feel active throughout the day. But what about the people who are not feeling well after doing exercise? Like I used to feel really tired when I do morning exercise.
Mhm. Yeah,
So what would you suggest, like in terms of their diet? Should they change it in their diet or their exercise routine if they are not natural for them?
it's simple. So
Yeah.
first of all, I want to add that you should do what works for you because we're
Mm.
all different. You know,
Yeah.
when we're talking about research, we're always talking about means like populations, like
Hmm.
samples.
Hmm.
They represent, so those results from studies, they represent a certain population, but they
Hmm.
don't represent every single person in the world. So we're all different.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
maybe something works for one person, but it doesn't work for another one. You
Yeah.
gotta find the routine that works for you.
Hmm. Like I used to do morning exercise. I was really tired then. Like
Mhm.
I spent my whole day sleeping after. But nowadays I changed a little bit thing. Like I do cold exposures after the cold showers. Like
In
it's
every single
impacting me
part.
a lot. Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah,
makes me fresh.
same.
Like I spent the whole day doing everything which I want to do. Like it's really good. Yeah. So what's next?
Yeah, because cold exposure, like cold water, it
Yeah.
will wake you up immediately. because your
Yeah.
body will be in not, I don't like this word, but in a shock,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then it will release a lot of chemicals like adrenaline,
Hmm.
noradrenaline, and this will make you like super energetic.
Yeah.
And it probably lasts for minutes, maybe hours after the cold exposure.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm also doing that, and it works fantastically. It's been a year
Hmm.
now, more than a year, and I love it.
Yeah. Like you are a fitness coach at a gym. So like people are very lazy. They're spending whole day at their bed. So they're doing nothing. They're just watching the television or their
Yeah.
phones. They don't have enough will to do exercise. Like how do you motivate them to do exercise? Because most of them are my friends. They're very lazy. They think
Yeah.
like exercise is not going to work. I should like stay in my comfort. Like how do you motivate them?
So, you have two types of customers.
Mhm.
Most of them, so you have the ones that are motivated,
Mhm.
very motivated, and the ones that are not motivated.
Mhm.
Most of them are motivated
Mhm.
because if
That's
they
why they
weren't,
come.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they weren't motivated, they would not come. They would not be there.
Yeah.
But it happens sometimes. If
Mhm.
some, if a friend forces them to come or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is an important distinction. So for those that are motivated,
Mhm.
they have to go slowly. No, because
Mhm.
motivation is a limited thing.
Mhm.
It's a limited resource. You gotta use it wisely because
Mhm.
people usually they give everything in the very short term. Like they come, they work out for like 2, 3, 4 hours every single
Mhm.
day, and it's not good. It's not okay,
Mhm.
especially if
Yeah.
you're a beginner. You should go slowly in
Mhm.
the beginning, like
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
out maybe once a week,
Mhm.
and then a few weeks later, twice a week, and so
Mhm.
on. I always try to improve, but for the customers that aren't motivated,
Mhm.
I would say the issue lies with it's all about dopamine.
Yeah.
It's
It's
all,
all about dopamine. Yeah.
all about comfort,
Yeah.
discomfort, and I would say that their levels of dopamine, I cannot smell it, but I can feel
Yeah.
it. I can feel
Yeah.
that their levels of dopamine are super low. So
Mhm.
dopamine is the hormone for motivation,
Mhm.
for craving things, and so on, and whatever.
Mhm.
It gets you up
Yeah.
from your
Yeah.
bed. And
But
those
they're yeah. Yeah.
their
Yeah.
levels of dopamines are super low, and they make the same mistake as everyone else. They try to go for more dopamine,
Yeah.
more pleasures, more comfort.
Mhm.
And this is why they deplete their dopamine levels even more, and
Mhm.
they're not motivated. They
Yeah.
have to rest and make sure yeah, they let their dopamine levels go back to a normal level by
Mhm.
not watching, not going on social media, not playing video games, and so on, not eating junk food.
Yeah. Yeah. Like there's addictions happening everywhere. Mobile addiction is also releasing a lot of dopamine. People are watching videos all day. So that's the dopamine thing releasing in our mind that prevents us from like to make long-term decisions,
Mhm.
right? Could you explain more broadly about the dopamine?
Dopamine.
Yeah. So people can prevent having low dopamine so they can have enough will to do the things they want to do.
Yeah, if they make sure they don't waste their dopamine.
Yeah.
People waste it today by doing meaningless activities, like or activities. I call them meaningless. Maybe they're not meaningless for everyone, but I call them meaningless because they use too much of your dopamine for no return. Actually, like what
Mm,
playing video games. Okay,
mm,
video
mm,
games have been shown to have great effects on your brain
Mhm.
functions and so on and memory.
Mhm.
But it's a very intense activity.
Mhm.
It uses a lot of your dopamine, and then you're left with nothing.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, like by having some kind of pain, by doing exercise or cold exposure, it can balance our dopamine level, right?
Yeah,
So we have to balance that.
you have to
If we want to,
balance.
yeah, if we
Yeah,
want to have like more happiness in our life, like happiness in little things, like seeing the sunset, seeing the little things, seeing the children. So, but people are having a spike in their dopamine every minute, let's say, like they're watching videos
constantly. Yeah, they seek
constantly. Yeah, they
constantly. Yeah,
seek.
for something to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's the one thing. So people can do exercise with the help of dopamine as well.
Yeah, because
That's the
exercise
broad
is.
topic. Yeah, yeah. That's a
Yeah.
broad topic. Yeah. Exercise really need the will and the dopamine. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Amin,
You're
for
welcome.
having
It was
in
a
on
pleasure.
yeah on my podcast. Like, hope people will really learn and apply on their lives in terms of yeah their physical wellness, how they perceive the things about
Mhm.
supplements. Yeah. So, any
I think
last message would you like to give them?
I hope you will be able to use a few things here and there that I told you, that I learned you,
Yeah.
and yeah, go for it, man.
Mhm.
Or women, if you want
Yeah,
to achieve
yeah,
anything in life,
yeah, yeah,
go for it, but be
yeah, yeah,
careful. Be
yeah,
careful
yeah.
of all those activities that release a lot of dopamine that make you
Mhm.
addicted to them because they are the enemy.
Yeah, yeah. They're the enemies. Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for watching my video, and I will be back with one more podcast. And say bye to all.
Bye.
Bye.